Hello, thanks for joining us on World Business Report. I'm Sarah Coburn. There's optimism that India could sign a wide-ranging free trade deal with the European Union in the new year. The breakthrough was announced during the Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's visit to the EU headquarters in Brussels. The deal has been under negotiation for 4 years and could boost trade between the EU and India by almost 30%. It would slash tariffs by 90%, and both sides believe the talks come at a critical time.
We face a future of opportunities and challenges, but the greatest challenge ahead of us is to generate sustainable growth and improved welfare for our citizens. The free trade agreement that we are currently negotiating should unlock the largely untapped potential of our respective economies, and it will certainly improve economic and business ties.
The global economy is still recovering from the economic and financial crisis. We must work together to ensure that global growth is sustained and that we do not see a double-dip recession, combating protectionist tendencies that invariably creep in during times of financial distress is highly important.
Well, let's bring in Bundeep Singh Rangar, who is chairman of the consultancy firm IndusView. Thank you for joining us, Bundeep. Both sides sounding pretty optimistic, but there are still big obstacles out there. What are they?
Well, I guess the biggest obstacle is the legacy of protectionism on both sides. Both sides have tariffs against trade, a licensed bureaucracy. You can look at if you're ever looking to get a visa for Europe and the difficulty getting a Schengen visa, and in some cases vice versa, just because it's a tit for tat, that gives an indication of just the level of layers you have to go through to get business done. And
we mentioned that this has been under negotiation for 4 years. How confident are you that they really are approaching the end game, if you like?
Well, Manmohan Singh is a person who knows how to dismantle bureaucracy. He did that with India starting in 1991, and India is today the second fastest growing economy as a consequence of that. And I believe one of his legacies will be to cement this deal with Europe. So if there's a goodwill factor and a person who can execute on that, at least on the Indian side, it's there. I believe this is getting closer and closer to that end goal, and that should happen early next year.
Because, of course, we've seen quite a lot of bilateral talks going on. We've seen the likes of Sarkozy trying, even earlier this week to make some kind of gains. But how important, how significant is a pan-European deal with India? How much difference would that make?
Well, if you look at India, India itself is like Europe, right? We're a conglomerate of nations there. We have 25 national languages, 2 official languages, not that different from the EU. And both countries are hungry for GDP growth. And it makes sense to have a many-to-many relationship when it comes to creating an infrastructure for free trade, rather than a one-to-many relationship. It's much more efficient. And the EU is one free economic zone, so it makes sense for one economic zone to partner with the other. If you look at the North American Free Trade Agreement, for example, in 15 years, trade tripled, and it's believed that U.S. GDP grows about 0.5% a year, purely on the basis of NAFTA. So there's a precedent there.
Bundeep Singh Rangar, thank you so much indeed. Now, the French President Nicolas Sarkozy